in the case where you have someone run and then they come back, and it's known that they did try to run, they did try to desert, but then they're back in, how does that affect the trial in your experience? And do you have any stories on that?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple different times. The best, I was on active duty. I was the senior defense counsel in Korea, and I had a client. We were in this old Quonset hut. Our buildings are just crap. There's trash because it's the Army. We had this old Quonset hut, which was the Trial Defense Service office. So it was the very back of base. It was across from like where the helipad was, where the commanding general lands his helicopter to do commanding general things. And so I can see that helipad from my window. My client, he was a specialist, and he was in my office signing some documents. I forgot what even we were signing. And so he was in pretrial confinement. And this is why he ran, because he was in pretrial confinement, which means he's typically shackled and has his leg restraints, but he's brought out of pretrial confinement for a lawyer visit. Either I've got to go down to the jail or they bring him to me. So he has his two escorts, because it was Army, not Marine Corps, so they weren't chasers. And they were sitting out in the front, and they took his hand irons and his shackles off, which they were allowed to do. That was the procedure back then. This was 2009 or 2010. And so he's in my office. We're signing some documents. I leave to go make a copy of what he's signing. I come back, and my office door is locked. I'm like, well, why is my office door locked? So I'm trying to open the door. It's locked from the inside. I got locked out of my own office. And so I went to my paralegal, a staff sergeant who was there, and I got the spare key. As I'm walking in, I see my hero, my client. I see, well, first thing I see, I go to the door, there's no one in there, and I see the window open. It's like something out of a movie. I see the window open. And so I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And so I slowly walk over to the window, and he's wearing like the orange jumpsuit, is what he's wearing. And this client wasn't a very fast PTer, I'll put it that way. And so I look out the window, and we're on the first floor, and I see him lumbering along at a very slow run, his fastest run, but it was a slow run, across the commanding general's helipad. And so you've got the CG's helipad and my client wearing all orange, doing this, his fastest version of a jog, like a 9-minute mile, running it for his life across the helipad. And I'm like, It was like, what do I do with this? I'm like, what do I do? And so I can tell this now. So I kind of sat and watched. I kind of just watched as he ran. I gave him a little bit of a head start. I kind of watched as he ran. He got some distance. Once I kind of took it in that he was running, and I realized I need to report this. And I took my time to make sure that he didn't turn around and come back on his own. And so, and then I walked over to them. I said, I need you to go get my client for me. He's like, what do you mean, client? Yeah, he just took off. And it was like panic mode. It was like I hit the panic. It was like, hit the panic button. They're like, 463, be on the lookout. They just started hitting all their equipment and their radio calls. And there goes on them. It's their ass. And so they immediately ran to try to find him. And I'm like, how long? They're going to find him. He ran across the commanding general's helipad, right past PMO in an orange suit. Like, you're going to find him. He's not going to make it off base. But for this hero, sure enough, he made it off base. Good for him. So he somehow got off base. I was really impressed. He actually got off base. How he did, I don't know. I think he went back through one of the tank trails. This was at Camp Casey, Korea, so we had a lot of tank trails. And, okay, so now, it's like, now what? Okay, I've got out of pretrial confinement. I got to change. I got off base. I got out of my orange suit. I changed over some other clothes. It's like, what do you do now? You're in Korea. Like, what do you do? He went to the bar. He went to the bar, like, in the Ville. So you have to understand, in Camp Casey, this area called the Ville. And it's really not there anymore because Camp Casey, there's not much left of it. But there's the Sed and Osan. It's basically all the drinking areas. It's all the dive bars. Back then, they have what's called juicy bars. And it's just all the bars that all the soldiers go to. And the MPs are everywhere. And they put a bolo out for him. And sure as hell, he's out drinking with his little, would-be girlfriend at the bar getting drunk. And so they put a bolo out for him, and they arrested him that night. So good for him. I mean, he got away, got out of a window, got a change of clothes, got off base, and he had a drink. He can't get a drinking confinement. So then the question becomes, what happened? It's like, okay, well, he didn't go very far. And so then they put him back in pretrial confinement. They charged him with a whole host of other offenses and charged him. And we ended up negotiating a plea deal in that case where we got those charges dismissed. And we worked out a plea deal, and he ended up going home. And so that's what happened. So that was the most memorable client who ran on me, because I still can picture my orange Porsche hoodie is about the orange as his prison suit that he had. And the vision of him running a lumbering 9-minute mile across the commanding general's helipad is like epic. It's one of the craziest and funniest things that's happened. And he went out to the bar like a good soldier. He went out to the bar that night and got hammered and got picked up and arrested and went back to jail. So there you go. So that was one time where I had someone run, and it was a great story. If you're facing a court-martial and your circumstances is so bad that you've considered running and not showing up for trial, don't do it. The best solution for you is to figure out an actual strategy to win a trial. Don't run. I can walk you through this entire process before it gets worse than it already is. Give me a call at 813-669-3500, and let's talk it through.